our first real operation was the Admiralty Islands. We didn't do much in New Guinea. And we had been there 2 or 3 days. It's artillery now. We're going on the other side. That was the operation where our soldiers in our advance landed, and they'd take the airstrip, and the Japs would take it back at night, and we'd take it in the daytime. They'd take it back at night. And it was supposed to have been a reconnaissance for, I forget what the name of it was, but just to find out and get the information, not to hold. But when they sent MacArthur the word back, hey, we got the airstrip. MacArthur said, hold, I'm sending reinforcements. Well, the reinforcements took a couple of 3 days to get there from New Guinea. And in the meantime, the fighting got a lot more ferocious, and the Japanese started, they had withdrawn. That's what the first time they'd known that I knew. But on the landing, they had just withdrawn, and they said, hey, we got it, But they kept coming back. So we were down, as I understand it, to virtually the last shot, the last ammunition in our guns, and we're just about ready to be annihilated. Not us. I was in artillery. I wasn't there yet. I was part of the reinforcement coming up. And but we got there, and they got just in time, or we'd have lost. MacArthur was lucky a couple of times like that, but that's war. That's the ball game, You gotta have a fake punt once in a while. Go with it. So what was the point we were making now? We were talking about
officer and fear.
Yeah, fear. We had a kind of our artillery division artillery commander was a brigadier general. He didn't know a whole lot about fighting artillery. I don't know, social promotion, something. But he sent the three firing battery commanders out on a reconnaissance. We were on the main island. There were a whole bunch of little islands out around Seattle Harbor. And each of the battery commanders, he sent us out on a reconnaissance into unknown territory with our first sergeants, the battery commander, first sergeant, and a couple of guys on the Navy's PT boats. Each of the three was to go to a specific island and reconnoiter for possible gun positions, which made sense, for the future. Well, I went, and we circled this little island, had nothing but coconut palms. We fired some rounds in there and checked it out, and found out immediately it wasn't any good for a gun position. So we came on home. The second one did the same thing. He came on home. He didn't know. Third one didn't show up. And we went to the general and said, General, Captain Rich outfit hadn't come back yet. I said, yeah, I know. He said, there's got to be something wrong. He went the same distance, a long way out, way across that was supposed to be, as I understand, the biggest landlocked harbor in the world. It was huge. So anyhow, he never came home. I mean, he did eventually, but that night, after the day, he didn't come home. Next day, he came home on a destroyer. What had happened was he'd pulled into this island. It looked like it had a little bit bigger. Looked like it had a possible good gun position. So he carefully took some of his men and went ashore, because you couldn't see any activity in it at all. And all of a sudden, they were there, and they'd ambushed themselves, and they what do you call it, when they surprised them, was a word for it. And killed a couple of guys. And then my buddy, the battery commander, was a very good, he'd been a varsity swimmer at Texas A&M. He was a good swimmer. So they got out and they sank their little boat, their PT boat, Navy PT. No, they'd gone ashore and they didn't have a boat. The PT boat left him. He got hit in the foot and he went off and left him. Left him there. And so my buddy kept him afloat, 2 or 3 wounded guys, and the rest of them the Navy would come through the harbor and come by way out there, and they'd wave. We could see. And they finally got picked up the next day. But he spent the rest of the war being a little skittish of everything. That's that captain. I remember one time we were in a bunker at our firing direction center down in there. We had And the Japs were shooting one of our own guns they'd captured up in the hills. They'd taken some of our coastal big guns back up in the hills, and they'd roll them out of these gold mines on wheels and shoot. They didn't know how to shoot, thank goodness. They just fired it out there. Here came a big shell or two, and my buddy, we were working at night, in the dark at night at a Coleman lantern. He knocked the Coleman lantern off the table and dived down into stuff like that. He was scared, but he made it. He did all right.